Government announces it may freeze increment of salaries of public sector workers from next year. The move, according to the Finance Minister, Seth Terkper, is to help manage government expenditure in 2014. The General Secretary of the TUC, Kofi Asamoah, however, is saying a big no to such an idea. What is really informing this move from government, and why that response from the Labour Front? This is today's big story. My name is Bright Nana Amfo, and thanks so much for staying there for today's big story. The Minister of Finance, Mr. Seth Terkper, made the announcement when he moved a motion for lawmakers to pass the appropriation bill to regulate government spending in 2014. Mr. Terkper appealed to public sector workers to accept the intended freeze on pay increases. The move, he explained, is to help manage government spending. The Trade Union Congress is not too happy and object to the idea, adding it is unacceptable considering the increasing high cost of living. The Trade Union Congress is cautioning government to discard the idea, threatening that organized labor will not entertain any such proposal. The Finance Minister noted that the decision taken by government was the outcome of a meeting held in the Volta regional capital. It was also agreed in that meeting that measures regarding placing a freeze on new contract should be continued. In this respect, Mr. Terkper said government will be liaising with Labour to develop a comprehensive set of measures in the interest of the country that would ensure moderation in negotiating wage or salary increases, including a possible cessation on increases. And that's from the Finance Minister, Mr. Seth Terkper, when he moved the motion for lawmakers to pass the appropriation bill in Parliament House. And that is to regulate government spending. Let me quickly go to the phone lines. We'll be trying to speak to organized labor about their reaction to this particular move. But let me speak to a labor expert, Mohammed Fum. He's just joined this discussion. Mr. Fum, thanks so much for your time.
Good evening, Bright.
Now, first of all, one very cardinal issue is one that, of course, touches the very nerve of workers, and that is salary increases. We are told that a single spine pay policy alone is taking about 70% of government revenue. Now, government is suggesting that in attempt at regulating its spending, it is trying, or it is hinting of a freeze on salary increases in 2014. Is this what organized labor can accept, would take from government?
Well, thank you, Bright. I think it is very unfortunate that government, by its action, is, as it were, instigating a confrontation which will be unnecessary for organized labor. The issue is that government has ratified ILO conventions that on collective bargaining for both public sector workers and private sector workers, that conditions, terms and conditions of employment of workers will be resolved through collective bargaining. So if unilaterally government will want to decide to freeze salaries next year, what it is seeking to do is to instigate, as I did mention, confrontation with organized labor, which will not take kindly to this. Again, it is likely to receive a query from International Labour Organization for violating Convention Y51 on the collective bargaining for public sector workers. So it is very unfortunate that government is taking this particular action. But having said that, let me state that this issue of government stating that public sector workers are taking 70% of revenue is attempting to paint public sector black. But let me tell you that it's a fact that organized labor has challenged government to let them go into the books to establish whether it is true that public sector workers are taking 70% of national revenue. Government has failed to do that, which means that government is not being candid about the issue of public servants' wages taking 70% of. It is want to use public sector workers as pawns, in this game of which is very, very unfortunate. And I want to advise government that it must tread carefully. If it wants a freeze on workers, on salaries, let him engage organized labor in negotiations. And if organized labor understands government position and decides that in the interest of the country, you want to freeze salaries for a period, so be it.
So you agree that cutting down expenditure is okay, freezing salaries of public sector workers is okay, but government must engage these workers in dialogue?
Whatever concerns terms and conditions of employment of workers must be decided through collective bargaining, where labor and the employers engage in social dialogue to arrive at a consensus which will be binding on the parties. But a lot of parameters go into negotiations, and it's at the negotiation table that the various positions of the parties will be made known for a decision to be arrived at. So whether organized labor will accept it or not depends on the positions that government brings to the table.
And so you have been at the forefront of government organized labor relationships for quite a long time. Now, has freezing salaries been an issue that perhaps you think can draw organized labor out onto the streets?
Right. The possibility is there. It exists. It exists. And I believe that if there's anything to go by, that organized labor's position on the increase in tariffs and the threatened action of a nationwide strike should be an example for government if they want to take any action that will adversely affect the remuneration of workers in this country.
What should organized labor do? Now, government has given the hint that it may freeze public sector salaries next year, increases. It may freeze increases in public sector salaries next year. What should organized labor do in this situation?
Well, I think organized labor position is to wait and see whether government will take the initiative. I believe that next year there will be another round of negotiations to fix the base pay. It is likely that at this forum, this position of government will be made known. But let's see the dynamics. Negotiations take a whole lot of things. So let us see how the whole thing will play out. But I do not think that looking at the current situation of prices and the projected increase in tariffs and the projected increase in fuel prices, it is likely that that particular thing will hold. I do not think it will hold. But then let us be patient and see the initiative that government will make to engage organized labor in this particular plan that it has.
Mohammed Efum is a labor consultant. Thanks so much for your time, Mohammed, for speaking to me. Let me try and speak to one of the representatives of organized labor, the Ghana Medical Association. Dr. Justice Yankson is the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. Now, Dr. Yankson, grateful once again to have you with me.
It's my pleasure as well to be with you.
Now, first of all, government is giving hints that come 2014, it may decide to freeze increases in salaries of public sector workers. The reason is to check government expenditure. First of all, how would you react to it?
Good evening to your listeners. I guess this, for now, is something that has not been tabled before organized labor.
Right.
But assuming that we are to go by what we've all heard so far, the basic question we should all ask is that what is the basis for giving workers annual increments. There's a clear basis for that, and that is what we need to look at. Has the reasons for doing that change? No. The issue is that government, through the tripartite committee, together with labor, set the minimum wage, which, technically speaking, every worker ought to be paid based on those figures. Either, in fact, basically that is like the minimum level at which you should pay any worker in the system.
Right.
Now, beyond that is the Public Sector Joint Standing Negotiating Committee that will then dialogue with government to see the increments that will have to be given to workers for the year. Now, most times, the basic reason for these adjustments has to do with inflation. Once inflation sets in, what it does is it erodes the purchasing power of the worker. What that means is that ultimately, if no adjustments are made, then the workers' living standards are beginning to deteriorate. Now, with the current dispensation we find ourselves in, we all know what is saying at that. Just about a month or two ago, there was this tariff hike, and as we speak now, PURT has given indication that these things are going to go up again come January. We all know what inflation is doing to the purchasing power of the ordinary man on the street. We all know the projected increases that may come our way vis-a-vis fuel prices and all that. So ultimately, what is going to happen is that the worker is going to be made worse off in terms of his ability to survive, more or less, in addition to having to take care of his family and other dependents. So for me and for organized labor, or let's say for my union, I don't think we'll be in a position to accept such a proposal unless government is able to demonstrate to us that issues to do with inflation and all these other factors have been curtailed, such that my purchasing power as of today, come December next year, will still be the same. But we all know our country. I don't think the last 20, 25 years, there's been a single year where your purchasing power as at the beginning of the year will be the same as at the close of the year. It will definitely go down simply because of depreciation of the currency and inflation. So I think government should look at this proposal again and rather concentrate on how to rope in people who are supposed to pay tax and are not paying. Government should also check the waste in the system. Mind you, the salary that goes to workers is their legitimate compensation for all the hard work they would have done for the month. So if somebody works for the month, you hire somebody to work, it is just fair that you give him what you've all agreed to pay him. Beyond that, government itself should also look at its own coffers, its own activities, and ensure that they also reduce the waste right from the presidency to the ministry departments and the agencies. That way, government will be in a better position to contain or control the amount of expenditures that they will be doing in the course of the year, but not to target the ordinary worker who is already dying under the heap of activities that they will have to do, i.e. charges all over the place because they've been hiked in virtually every single thing we do. From the basic water we drink to the food we consume, the life, everything we do in this country, transportation, what have you. We as workers are suffering as of now because all these activities have seen some amount of increment in them. So if you don't adjust my salary to compensate me for all that is happening around me, then basically what you are telling me is I should more or less work and then ultimately live on an empty stomach, which shouldn't be the essence of the social contract we have with government as workers.
Right. Dr. Yankson, is organized labor not sharing the concerns of government that under the single spine pay policy, public sector workers consume about 70% of what we earn as revenue?
Well, you see, these matters are so debatable because at the Public Sector Joint Standing Negotiating Committee, we've had the opportunity to place this matter before government on no less than 3 occasions, asking them to give us a true breakdown of what goes to the ordinary worker, what goes to the presidency, the department, the agencies, because the Article 71 office holders, the presidential staffers, and all these people we are talking about, including the security services and DNI and what have you, they basically have all been put together public sector wages. Now, those of us on single spine, I tell you what, may not even be consuming even 50% of whatever they claim we are doing. Because we, as workers, are also doing our checks. We also have our own means of trying to collect information. And we don't think that the figures as turned out can be laid at the doorstep of the workers who have a single spine pay policy as of now.
Right.
Look, let me be honest with you. Some workers may have experienced some appreciation in terms of whatever they were getting under the single spine. But those are the nominal figures or the nominal values. If you come down to the real value, I tell you what, the workers are worse off as of today.
Dr. Yancey, hold the line. Don't drop it here. Let me try and speak to a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, Department of Economics, Dr. Osei Sibe. He's just joined this discussion. Dr. Osei Sibe, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Dr. Sibe, let's look at this. Government is trying to check its expenditure in 2014. Now, it says that one way to do that is to freeze public sector salaries. Now, in checking government expenditure, what can we achieve putting a freeze on public sector salaries?
That is a very interesting development because freezing public sector wage can have several implications, right? It has to mean that the macroeconomic environment has to be stable, which means that the real wage of the workers should not deteriorate as a result of inflation. Because once prices start rising, you cannot continue to hold public sector wage. Otherwise, the public sector will be made worse off. And therefore, if government is seeking to do that, then the government has to ensure that inflation is stable, reasonably stable, predictable, and should not increase over that period of time. Otherwise, there's no way the labor union or the TUC would agree to that. And so that is one aspect. And also, it is not, to me, it is not a panacea to the fiscal challenge that we have now, because you can free the public sector, but if the public expenditure management system is loose, then there will still be slippages. There will still be overshooting of public expenditure. Because if we have too much executive discretion in fiscal management, okay, and if executive accountability is not there, where we don't actually have transparency in public financial management, particularly as it relates to the executive side, then the government can still spend without recourse to the wage that has been frozen, and that can still lead to fiscal expenditures overshooting the target. Okay, so to me, it is not really the problem of freezing the fiscal or freezing public sector wage. So long as the macroeconomic environment is stable, I don't think labor force will come for higher wage.
Right. Dr. Sibe, don't drop the line. Hold it. I have a member of the organized labor. Let me wrap up with him. I'll come back to you. Now, Dr. Jansen, now in this situation, this is a hint that government is giving. Now, in case government goes ahead, what are the options for organized labor?
Well, for us, we take government as a social partner. We will always want to dialogue with government first. It is only when government decides that they will not play ball with us, i.e. by the dialogue mechanism, then we'll also have to sit down as a group, consider all the necessary tools that are available to us, and that will include protests and strikes and demonstrations and what have you. I'm not saying we are going to get there, but these are tools that, since time immemorial, have been available to organized labor. We first want to dialogue with government, for government to understand the need for certain things to be done. And like Dr. Riley said, if you cannot control the macroeconomic indices in the system, what is going to happen is that the worker is going to be made worse off, and that is what organized labor will not want to happen.
Dr. Jansen, thanks so much for your time speaking to me. Let me go back to Dr. Osei-Sibe. Now, Dr. Sibe, you're still there on the line. Now, government in the past has agreed at a forum in the Volta region, it was agreed that the single spine pay policy is consuming about 70% of government revenue. And as such, it is certainly a weak point when it comes to government checking its revenue. Is it therefore not agreeable if government says, I'm going to put a freeze on increases in public sector wages in order to check expenditure for 2014?
Yes, to a large extent, yes. But that should be on conditions, like I mentioned previously, that the macroeconomic environment is going to be stable over the foreseeable future. Otherwise, it's not going to make any significant improvement in the fiscal stance of the government. And because, the wage rate is there. We have the wage bill taking about 53% of GDP. But there are also other avenues of government expenditure. Okay, government discretionary expenditures coming from the executive side, expenditure coming from education, from health, and all that are there. Beyond what we have in education, expenditures going to social protection. Now, how do we ensure that there's proper public sector financial management system in place, to block every loophole and to also ensure that government stay within its ambit of expenditure? Once we are able to do that, then it will complement whatever frozen that government is going to have. But to me, as I've mentioned, just frozen public sector wage is not the solution for going forward, for consolidating physical expense, because sometime or somehow it can be counterproductive.
Right.
Because if labor begin to feel disenchanted, begin to feel he's being done with, definitely it's going to lead to some kind of complacency in the job place. Productivity is going to fall, and that is going to lead to low income, low revenue, low taxes for government, and it will still, worsen the fiscal position of the government.
Dr. Osei-Sibe, thanks so much for speaking to me. Senior lecturer at the Department of Economics, University of Ghana, talking to me. I've been joined by the Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress, Mr. Kofi Asamoah. Mr. Kofi Asamoah, thanks so much for speaking to us.
Thank you, and let me say good evening to your listeners.
Right.
Your viewers.
Right. First of all, government has given hints that in checking its expenditure for 2014, it wants to put a freeze on public sector salary increases. Organized labor and these freeze, can it sustain workers going into 2014, looking at the economic environment?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Let me say that government is here to formally inform us of anything like that. But for us as organized labor, nothing that going forward, that is the solution to the the problem generally. If you look at the economic arena, cost of living and that is rising almost every day. So if cost of living is rising, and government has projected 9% end of year end-to-end inflation, then you are indirectly saying that workers' salaries would have to be a way reduced. Because if even you pay up to 9% next year, the 9% will just be restoring the value lost in 2013.
Right.
So asking for a wage freeze means that you are indirectly asking that wages and salaries should be reduced while other indicators are rising. And indeed, this will not be acceptable to organized labor.
Is organized labor not concerned that government is saying that the single spine pay policy is consuming so much of what government is earning? And so in order to check that, we're freezing increases in wages and salaries.
Yes, I think over the period, we've all been discussing the wage bill for public sector and the fact that it has risen. We equally also have talked about the fact that the rise in wage bill could also be looked at from the level of inefficient management of the wage bill, because we can still indicate without any reservation that there are still ghost names on the wage bill. There are some people who are being paid who are not yet to be paid. So yes, we are concerned about the wage bill, but we do not think that the wage bill represents the totality of the problem. And we also think that going forward, a wage freeze will not be the solution to that problem. And indeed, like I said, it's just not possible for organized labor to accept that.
If government pushes this proposal forward to organized labor, what are the options?
Come again?
If government pushes this proposal to organized labor, what are the options?
Oh, I do not know, but normally the determination of wages and salaries is through negotiations. So until it's tabled formally for negotiation, I cannot say anything to the otherwise. But definitely what I'm saying is that such a thing has not been formally tabled. If it's formally tabled for negotiation, we'll all look at it. But in real sense, it's not feasible to ask for wage freeze. It will just mean reducing the purchasing power of working people in 2014.
Thank you so much for speaking to me. Kofi Asamoah is the Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress, a member of organized labor, and government has given hint of a freeze on increment of salaries of public sector workers. The move, according to the finance minister, is to check government expenditure in 2014. Now, the finance minister moved the motion for the lawmakers to approve of the appropriation bill and told them that government, in checking its expenditure, will want to put a freeze on salaries of organized labor, increment in these salaries. This is an issue we'll be telling you more about it later on, but this wraps up the first segment of today's big story. The interactive segment is coming up right after this, and stay there. Marian will join me and we'll get to you and you get to us on the show. Stay there. I'm coming back in a moment. Welcome back to today's big story. And if you watched the commissioning of the bill project, where the president was very excited about the fact that at least the country has more energy. Marian, is that what the president said?
Yes, he's very, very excited. And previously, he's quoted as saying that, okay, the media actually gave him a name. That's even when you say Mimau Dumso and someone say, yeah, Mahama. So we should probably say Mimau Soso and then
because there's more energy.
We have more electricity.
This is the interactive segment, and Marian is going to take it. Marian, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Let's get interactive. My name is Marian Toure. So welcome back, or should I say Mimau Soso? And you say, yeah, Marian. So what is trending today? Before I tell you what we're going to talk about properly, let me announce all the social media tools that you need to get in touch with the show. You would find us at facebook.com/JoyNews on TV. A comment on all the posts we put there and would amplify your voice by sharing or your comments with the rest of the world. We are on Twitter. You can tweet at us, JoyNews on TV. Use the hashtag JoyNews so that we'll be able to sort all of them out and then take them all at once. If you're sending us an email, send it to joynewsim@mototvworld.com. And our WhatsApp number, as always, 0260518801. I am on Twitter too, and you can find me at MN Toure. And JN Interactive is where tech meets news to set the agenda. So if you can follow on what is trending on social media at this particular moment, President John Mahama has inaugurated the final phase of the Bui hydroelectric power project at Bui in the Brongahafu region. And the first unit of the project, which provided about 133 megawatts of power, was inaugurated in May to augment energy supply in the country. And the project, which was originally started in 2008 in the tail end of the Kufuor administration, is finally complete. 3-turbine dam is nestled in the gorge separating the Bono Ahafo region from the northern region. And the Bui city itself is expected to have several resorts, hotels, water sports facilities, and diverse other recreational centers for both domestic and international tourists to come and use. So I am sure that it will generate some more money for the country also. It is worthy of note also that the villagers, except a handful who were displaced by the project, have successfully been resettled and compensated. And Mr. Kufuor, who was the former president who started the project together with some energy ministers who served in his government, joined the president at the inauguration event. And so we'll go and take our first video blog. And in our first video blog, we are asking you, what do you even know about the Bui Dam? You know, several things happen in this country. You would ask people about it, and you'll be amazed to get to hear the responses that they have for you. So what do you know about the Bui Dam? Let's take our first video blog.
I think it's good. At least it's going to help us ease the pressure on the few electricity generating houses that we have. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I've heard about it. And even today I was watching a television, and then I saw the president commissioning the Bui Dam. And I think it's a good thing.
Bui Dam started from ex-President Kufuor, and the late President Mills also continued. And President Mahama is also, has done his best.
Yes, I've heard about the Bui Dam, and I learned it was commissioned today.
They have done the Bui Dam so that the energy crisis we are in, although I'm not saying that it will stop, but as they have done it and they have completed it, it will help us. It will help us so that our light out is going on in the country to come down small.
I heard the president has commissioned it, and it's a very good initiative. And we hope the dunso in our local language, which is the off and on of the light, will stop. And secondly, too, I would like to advise or suggest to my people, my countrymen and women, that irrespective of the president adding another megawatt to what we have, we should still be conscious about the way we use the light. If we are not using our electrical appliances well, still the dunso will continue. So I may play that we will still continue to maintain how we use our electrical appliances, not saying that because we have received another megawatt to what we are having will now increase the use of it. So I think it is a very good thing, and it's a very good step that the president has taken, and I may thank you all.
It's very good. It's going to help our economy, and if we will get more of such, I think it will be better for us.
Welcome back. So in our next video blog, we are asking you how, the extra 400 megawatts of power would actually impact you. Because I remember when there was no power, we were all screaming. Businesses, everybody was frustrated. So how would this good news impact you?
I think it will come to boost our economy, especially the dumso issues. I think it will add value to what we already have.
I think it will help improve on our power system. probably this on-off doomsday thing is going to, if not going to stop, then probably it's going to be minimized. So I think it's a good idea, and I hope that we are going to enjoy this 400 megawatts which has been added to our power system.
Welcome back. And so the story that was trending, we were trying to show it to you before, and we weren't able to do so. So I'm sure that all of you have heard it, but that is what you can see here, that our president has finally commissioned the Bui Dam, and he says the vision to become a major producer, in West Africa is still on course here. And the whole idea is that, Ghana would start providing a lot of power, and become, if you can call it, a hydroelectric hub for the rest of West Africa. And so in furtherance to that promise, the president has inaugurated that, and he announced that a 15,000 standalone solar system have been distributed to public institutions to reduce their reliance on a national transmission grid. In addition, the president said the energy minister has also, distributed solar lanterns to off-grid communities that are yet to be connected to the national grid, promising that more will be given out of, other, remote communities. So it is welcome news indeed, especially after all the issues that have been trending this week, from one issue about corruption to the other. At least this is a very welcome move that at this particular moment we have extra power. We're going to take our final video blog before we come and take your comments. And in our last video blog, we're asking, what are your expectations after this? This has been done. What more should government be doing for us, especially in the area of power? Let's take our next video blog.
I expect that the power system will keep on flowing, because nowadays, because of the power outage, when you look at our industries, they are not moving as is expected to move. So the Bui Dam coming will add much value to our workforce, and I think it's a good thing, and the president has done well. We thank him.
I expect that if they have further extensions, we continue with those ones, so that we don't always have the need of shortages when it comes to power. It affects the economy as well.
But I think there are more to be done. We were looking at the average rate of Ghanaian population. We are almost about 25 million, and Bui Dam, Akosombo Dam, and Tema plant. I think what I can tell government is that I think we have the sun. We have to invest on the solar energy, so that we can get more energies, so that we will forget about the doomsday and all those things. That is the major problem in Ghana now. There's doomsday. So if President Mahama has able to, commission the Bui Dam, praise the Lord. So the only thing is to think or create more for us to get more electricity in Ghana here.
For me, I'm expecting that we are going to have a firm or sound electricity supply. There shouldn't be any on-off, especially this Christmas. We need a firm supply from power generators. They should give us a firm supply, because we are paying for them. We are really paying for them. So for me, I think they should give us what we deserve. Once we pay for the bills or the power, then they are also supposed to serve us rightly. So I think with the 400 megawatts added, Ghanaians, we need to enjoy firm supply. That's electricity supply.
The president has done well by starting with this, but I think, if you can see, the youth are still unemployed. The unemployment in the country is still at a high risk. So I may pray and I suggest to the president that he should take a close look at the youth, how they are suffering, and then make sure he will open new opportunities for us, so that everything will be okay today.
Yes, I think for a start, it is a good one, and we want us to have more of such. For example, I learned there are more dams which can be completed for us to get more energy. So since this has been completed, we want the government to tackle the remaining ones so that we can get more energy.
So whilst we sort out a few technical details here and then take your comments, if you're just joining us, if you haven't heard the news already, what is trending is that President John Mahama has inaugurated final phase of the Bui hydroelectric power project at Bui in the Brong-Ahafo region. And the first unit of the project, which provided about 133, megawatts of power, was inaugurated in May to augment energy supply in the country. And the project was started in 2008 at the tail end of the Kufuor administration. And the 3-turbine dam is nestled in the gorge separating the Brong-Ahafo region from the northern region. And the Bui city itself is expected to have, some hotels, resorts, water sports facilities, and diverse other recreational centers, for both domestic and international tourists added to beef up, the place. And it is worthy of note that the villagers, except a handful who were displaced by the project, have successfully been resettled and compensated. And Mr. Kufuor, who started the project together with some of the energy ministers who served in his government, joined President Mahama at the inauguration event today. And a few comments have come in. I'll try and get it for you. After all, that is why you are there and I am here. Whatever you say is what I amplify and share with the rest of the world. And let's take it now. A few comments have dropped in. We are asking here that how do you feel about it adding some 400 megawatts of power to the national grid? How will it impact you? That is what we mean by that. And what are your expectations of this project that has come on board? And 2 minutes ago, we have Newton Jefford says, Bui Dam would partly solve the energy problem. I'll suggest data organizations such as estates, koi hotels, banks, education institutions, large public facilities, etc., should rely on alternative power like solar, bio and nuclear energy. Illegal connections are on the increase, I think you want to say, and they must be checked. We all have a part to play as a people. Gid Is says, wow, now my phone will charge faster. Or are you asking me or you're telling me? Well, it doesn't mean your phone will charge faster. It doesn't mean that we are going to open the floodgates to bring 1,000 megawatts of power through your socket. It just means that we have more power, and then the Dumso era perhaps would be over for some time, and also that we'll be able to sell some more energy to some of our neighbors to get more money for the country. That is what it means. Evans watching Isaac says the value is still the same. You are a cynic. I mean, I was hoping that after everything, the Dumso, now that we're enjoying, some respite from that, you would be happy, but you're thinking the value is still the same. Baba Musa Tamale says that was a great job done by President Mahama today. The NDC government has been magnanimous enough to give credit to former President Kufuor for securing the first tranche of the loan. Buenaventure says, bye-bye to energy crisis. Thank you, JDM. Mutalaja says, Ayite says, it's really nice. And I think we are going to see the Better Ghana agenda. No more lights off. Isahaku says, it's good news, but I don't think it will reduce tariffs for the poor. And I don't know, tariff reduction, yes, you're getting more power. And so if you're getting efficient, reliable power and you have to pay for it, I was hoping that at least it will be welcome news that, we are going to pay for it, yes, because it is there, it's an abundant supply, and the industry, will not suffer like they are suffering right now. So it's I believe it's a good thing all round. Let's take some more comments here. Ernestina Ejayam Ponsa says it's a nice thing in order to produce energy only if it won't be increased. And I hope Mahama is not going to impound all monies on us, because lights goes off, you want to say frequently these days as well. Okay. Hassan says, I'm hoping that energy should improve. Umar, oh good. And we thank Kufuor too, of course. Hate Shegun says, I don't expect anything but improper maintenance since it's since it's new. Well, yeah, if it's new, it's obvious that we don't need any maintenance because it is new. Hopefully nothing goes bad that we need to. Shakro says government vision from great vision from JDM, and we are saying no to energy crisis. Isa says it will actually help Ghana's electricity problems. Steven says it might not impact directly on me, but others, because if where I am, but I think it boosts the energy situation in the country. Okay, it might not affect you because of where you are, you mean to say. Isaaku says, are we so poor that as a nation that we can't go for solar? If you watched or listened to some of the trending comments that I made mention of and read for you, President Mahama actually said that he wanted, to add solar power to it, to balance it out so that we don't have to rely so much on electricity. So solar power is also part of all of this. And like we say most of the time, everything is in the pipeline. And so in due course, I'm sure that they will roll something also out to cater for, the solar, part of electricity. Let's take some more comments. And Ruben says it will help solve some, but not all. We should try and use other forms of energy. There are more to this dam. So will the ECG tariff come down? You're all worried about that. I am sure that we will find out very soon and then let you know. And as teenager Yamponsa, increase in megawatts, increase in tariff, increase in corruption, and increase in fire outbreaks. Ghana for bre. We prefer the dumso to this type of energy system and this so-called improvement in energy sector. Energy improvement, Papa Beng. Clifford says, it's wonderful. Ghana is moving forward in terms of power. This will bring industrialization, which will create jobs for the unemployed youth in the streets. Joseph says, this is good news, and I expect all and sundry to make good use of it, whilst government also tries to add more to it. I think I can now buy more meat into my fridge. Yes, you should. My last comment says, power failure, aka dunso, has always been the problem in Ghana. The addition is good, but the flow of power to various households must be consistent. It must also see businesses booming. I think in that case, the Ghanaian would always feel happy living in Ghana. As for my expectations, I am expecting a free flow of uninterrupted power supply during and after this Yuletide. God bless our homeland, Ghana. And that is where I end your comments for today. But time for this back so we can wrap up the show together.
Right, so whilst we have good energy and we're getting into Christmas, the Food and Drugs Board is cautioning the public on what to buy, and that we'll tell you at 8 o'clock. Now, the FDA says it is informed by the fact that most retailers and importers tend to take advantage of the season by selling unwholesome products. So watch what you buy, and that's according to the Food and Drugs Board. We'll tell you more at 8 o'clock.
And also to expect in news at 8 with Israel, fire this morning destroyed properties running into several millions of Ghana cedis at the old Parliament House here in Accra, which currently houses the Sole Judgment Debt Commission and the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. The fire believed to have started at dawn razed down the entire records office of the Judgment Debt Commission and the main hall where hearings are held.
And a 2013 healthcare report by Sen Ghana has indicated that most CHIP compounds in rural and some urban communities rely on unprofessional health workers. It warns maternal and child mortality is likely to increase in rural communities if healthcare managers do not quickly move to provide these facilities with more qualified health workers. At 8 o'clock, join us. We'll tell you more about this story.
And some of the teachings and practices in churches may inadvertently be driving some worshippers insane, even though their symptoms are yet to manifest as all-out madness. The Christian Health Association of Ghana, in collaboration with NGO Basic Needs Ghana, has therefore begun engaging church leaders in some of these on some of these vulnerabilities and how they can, through their teachings, curb the incidence of mental ailments.
And don't also forget that we also have business, sports, and showbiz at 8 o'clock. Thanks so much for having stayed here for 1 hour. We're back here tomorrow, but Joy News Exclusive is coming up next. My name is Bright Nanamfo.
And my name's Marianne Ture. Please do enjoy the rest of our programs.